In the words of Ecclesiastes, a season is set for everything, a time for every experience under heaven, a time for laughing and a time for weeping, a time for dancing and a time for wailing, a time for speaking and a time for silence, a time for seeking and a time for losing, a time for giving birth and a time for dying. The time of mourning is a complicated time filled with many emotions and memories, both bitter and sweet. We begin our service with the recitation of psalms and prayers, thus linking Zelda Gokhberg life with 3,000-year-old tradition of the people, Israel, and the eternity of God. Esain al Gagarim, Mehayin Yavo Ezri, Ezri Mehim Adonai, Ose Shamayim Vaharetz, Al Yiten Lamot Raglecha, Al Yanom Shomrecha, Hinei lo yanum velo yishan, shomer Yisrael, Adonai shomerecha, Adonai tzelecha, aliyat yeminecha, yomam hashemesh lo yakeka, veyareach balayla, Adonai shmorecha mikol ra'am, yishmoret nafshecha, Adonai shmor tzedcha uvahecha, meyata v'ad olam. 121st Psalm. I will lift my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? The source of my help is the Lord, creator of heaven and earth. He will not let you falter. Your guardian does not slumber. Surely the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. He is at your right hand to protect you. The Lord, your keeper, gives shelter. The sun will not smite you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will guard you from all harm. The Lord will preserve your soul. He will guard your going and coming from this time forth and forever. Adonai ro'i lo echsar binodeshe yarbitzeni, al mei menuchot yenachaleni, nafshi yeshavev yancheni v'ma'aglei tzedek liman shemo, gam ki elech begei tzalmavet lo irara ki ata imadi, shiftecha u'mishantecha, hema yanachamuni, ta'aroch lifanai shulchan neged tzororai, dishanta v'shemen roshi kosi revaya, ach tov v'chesed irdefuni kol yimei chayai, v'shavti beveit Adonai leorach yamim. 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He has me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He guides me on path of righteousness. He revives my soul for the sake of his glory. Though I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm. For you are with me, your staff and your rod comfort me. You set a table inside of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Dear Irina, Leonid, Lila, Todd, Marilyn, relatives and friends, we gather here today to pay our respect and to say farewell to our dear Zelda Gokhberg. She was wonderful wife, wonderful mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother. She lived a difficult life, and I would like to tell you about her life a little bit. She was born in Moldavia in 1928 in a little village by the name Lapushna. She was a middle child in a family with 3 children. She had an older sister, Beta, and a younger brother, Simon. Her father, Nuta, was a salesman, and her mother, Shandla, she ran the house and raised the children. So she was born in 1928, and she was only 13 years old when the Great Patriotic War started, what we call the Second World War in Soviet Union. It was called the Great Patriotic War. So she was only 13 years old, and the family evacuated in Uzbekistan near Tashkent, and for 4 years, Zina worked in a communal farm in the field. After the end of the war, the family returned back to Moldavia, and Zina was a young woman already. She was 17 years old, and she started working in the retail after the war. Soon, she met her future husband, David. Friends introduced them. And as Zina remembered, they went out only for 2.5 months. And after that short period of time, they got married in December of 1953. She remembered, as she said herself, they didn't have much romance between them, but they loved each other, they supported each other, and they cared for each other. They lived together more than 50 years. Together, they built a family. Together, they raised their daughter, Irina. Together, they went through 2 immigrations. All of these events is a testament that they were a very good union and they did everything together. As I said, she worked in retail for many years. And then when she was 40 years old, she decided that she wanted to go back to school because she never finished high school. So she was 40 years old, she was married already, and she had a daughter. And she decided that she wanted to get an education. So first, she finished high school by going to classes in the evening after work. And then after she graduated from the high school, she went to the technical school, and she received the profession of bookkeeper. And then for many years, Zina worked as a chief bookkeeper in a payroll department in a big electromechanical factory in Kishinev. Zina was a very organized woman. She was very goal-oriented. She was very punctual, and she was very diligent. She was a neat freak, as you told me, and her house was always spotless. She was a very good cook, and she loved to entertain. She loved to celebrate holidays with her family and friends. Zina and David didn't have many friends because all their care was about their family and their daughter, granddaughter, and later granddaughter. And you, Irina, told me that you inherited your mother's best traits. But her life passion was dancing. She loved to dance. And she had very big extended family. She had many cousins. And every wedding, every event that she was celebrating, she loved to dance for hours. In 1980, you, Irina, with your daughter Lily and your parents, you immigrated to Israel. Zina and David settled in Beersheba. It's a town in south of Israel. And from the moment they came to Israel, they fell in love with their new country. And later, they even opened a little grocery shop. And they were very proud of that accomplishment. They lived in Israel for 7 years. And after you, Irina, came to the States and you received an American citizenship, you invited your parents to come to America, come to Cleveland. And in 1987, they came to the States and they settled here in Cleveland. Zina found a job here in Cleveland and she began to learn English. She wanted to communicate with people. She wanted to assimilate to the American life. Later, she passed an exam and became an American citizen, and she was very proud of that as well. She loved to travel, and she even managed to travel to Paris, Las Vegas, Disneyland, Niagara Falls. She loved cruises. In 2004, her husband, David, died. She was very sad that she lost her partner of more than 50 years. But she went on with her life and she continued to live independently, taking care of herself and her everyday life business. She began to go to Russian Circle. It's like a daycare for older people from former Soviet Union, where she could communicate with her contemporaries from the Soviet Union. And especially she loved to dance because, again, she got the chance to dance almost every day in that Russian daycare. But unfortunately, in 2013, she was diagnosed with dementia. And she couldn't live independently anymore because once she was found on a street, so she needed care and medical attention. And in that year, in 2013, she moved to Menorah Park. It's a nursing facility where people get medical attention and they're taken care of. You, Irina, continued to take care of your mother. You continued to spend time with her. And as you told me, you even you started taking her from Menorah Park and bring her to your house to spend weekends with her, that she could spend time with your family, with granddaughter and great-granddaughter. And she loved those times that she was able to spend with all of you because she loved you so much. All of you basically were her life now. And she loved you, Lily, and she loved your daughter, her great-granddaughter, Marilyn. And she found a nickname for your daughter, Tuka. And interestingly enough, that then Marilyn started to call her great-grandmother with the same name, Tuka. So they called each other the same nicknames. They share the same nickname. Despite her diagnosis, despite that she had dementia, almost until her passing, she was able to recognize all of you. She remembered all of you. She was able to carry conversation with you. Her mind was not affected by this debilitating disease. And that was very important, that she was able to be part of your family and spend time with you. Lastly, I would like to say that, as I said, Zina was born in a little village in Moldavia that had a big Jewish population. It was shtetl, as the word, describes those little Jewish villages. And she even had 2 rabbis in her family. So she grew up absorbing Jewish traditions, holidays, prayers, Jewish culture, and Jewish religion. And through her entire life, she loved Jewish holidays, and she always celebrated Jewish holidays. She kept fast on Yom Kippur. She celebrated, as I said, all the Jewish holidays. She celebrated Jewish Passover. As you said, Irina, now you taken that tradition from your mother, and now it's up to you to carry on that Jewish tradition that she loved so much. She lived with the good name, and she loved with the good name. Tehi nishmata tzarora b'tzror haim. May her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. I know that Lily would like to share her memories about her grandmother.
Please. Every time I slipped my hand into my grandmother's, she would give it a little squeeze. Sometimes not so little. Her grip was strong, just like her character. Over the years, Grandma was many things to many people. And although she sometimes had a tough exterior, brought on by the circumstances of her life, to me, she was Grandma, and she loved me. Hard. When we lived in Israel together, her and my grandfather owned a small grocery store. I spent many days there with them, perched on top of the ice cream cooler, picking out treat after treat. Then at the end of the day, as they were closing up shop, I reached inside and picked out just a few more treats, urging her to bring them home for dinner. We went to the beach every weekend. I didn't realize at the time how lucky I was that going to the beach meant swimming in the Mediterranean. She packed us a picnic lunch, which always included hard-boiled eggs, which would inevitably get covered in sand and crunch when I ate them. When they moved to the United States 5 years after we did, one of the most exciting things early on was when her and my grandfather got a new toaster oven for their apartment. I made so many pieces of toast that I probably ate my weight in bread. It was definitely a simpler time when something that little could bring so much joy. When Todd and I bought our first home, a little over a month before our wedding, I had the crazy idea of remodeling a bunch of rooms before the wedding. We had hideous Miami Vice-like wallpaper in many rooms and worked to strip the walls before being able to paint. The wallpaper in the kitchen was especially stubborn and about 6 layers deep. We tried everything to get it off. Then Grandma came over and basically told us to step aside. She took some scalding hot water, stuck a sponge in it, and wiped the wallpaper right off the wall. How the skin on her hand didn't burn right off is a mystery to us, but she was completely unfazed by it. She even poked a little fun at us, saying, "Don't be a baby," when we howled in horror at how hot the water was. A few years later, she was cleaning her apartment and fell and broke her arm. We all knew she broke her arm, but according to her, it's not broken. and there was no need to see a doctor. Only a month or so later, when she was at the doctor for something else, did we get confirmation that she had in fact broken her arm, and it was starting to set in its broken position. But no, it wasn't broken. See what I mean about tough? Grandma was very big into being a hostess and gathering the family for dinners. I definitely get that from her. Thanksgiving has always been my favorite holiday. From the time Todd and I got married, I took over hosting duties. The more people, the better. But my favorite Thanksgiving ever was a very small, intimate affair. I was 8 months pregnant, and on Thursday, we had gone to Todd's aunt's house. The next day, on Friday, Todd's parents, Dwayne and Jean, and my mother and Lyonya, and of course Grandma, came over. Todd and Dwayne put together the dresser for the nursery, while my mom and Lyonya put together the crib. Jean and Grandma washed and folded baby Maddie's clothes. I quietly cooked a mini feast, and we all sat together eating and talking and sharing our dreams about the upcoming miracle that would soon be completing our family. There was also another side to Grandma. Aside from the hard-working, driven, tough-as-nails lady, she was also a lady. Grandma loved to get dressed up, do her hair, put on her signature red lipstick and rouge, and walk the runway of her living room, showing off her ensemble. Always frugal, she was especially proud if she could shock us with how little she spent on her look. Everyone who knows me knows how much I love all things glitter, sparkly, and shiny. There is absolutely no mystery as to where I got that from. Whenever my mother and I would shop and I would pick out something over the top, she would look at me and say, "You're definitely your grandmother's granddaughter." And that I was, and I am proud to have been. How lucky am I to have had my grandmother in my life for almost 43 years, to make her a great grandmother once I was blessed with a daughter of my own. While the passing of a loved one is always a sad occasion, it's hard to look back on her 91 years of a life well lived, full of shared memories, and not feel a little bit of joy as well. She will be greatly missed, especially at the Jewish holidays. This will be our first Hanukkah without her punchiki and insistence that we not give her any presents. So it will be up to us to keep her traditions and memory alive, and we will by gathering our family and telling her stories. Rest in peace, Grandma, and please give Grandpa a hug for me. Thank you.
Please rise for the memorial prayer. Eile malei rachamim, shochayna b'amramim, hametzemeno hanechono, תחת כנפי השכינה, במחלות קדושים ודגורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים, את נשמת זלדה בת נוטה ושנדלה, שהלכה לעולמה, בגן עדן תחי מנוחתה. הנבא לרחמים, אסתרייגה בסתר כנפך לעולמים, ותצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתם, אדוני נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום על משכבם, ונאמר Amen. O God, exalted and full of compassion, grant perfect peace in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Zelda Gokhberg, who has gone to her eternal home. Master of mercy, we ask you, remember all the worthy and righteous deeds that she performed in the land of the living, May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. The Lord is her portion. May she rest in peace. And we all say, Amen. Please be seated. Please remain in your seats until the casket will be taken out of the chapel. Pallbearers, please come forward.